Kia ora. Welcome to Baptist People. My name's Charles Hewlett.
And I'm Kathryn Hislop.
In our roles as National Leader and Executive Advisor within the Baptist Churches of New Zealand, we daily have the privilege of bumping into interesting people.
These podcasts give us the opportunity to introduce them to you and to let them shape us as we endeavour to bring gospel renewal to people and places.
In conversation, we explore something of their story.
Why do we find them so interesting? What are they giving their lives to? Where does the motivation come from?
We reflect together on both the highs and lows of their journey. Thanks heaps for taking the time to listen in today.
This week I talk with Kelly Burgess, Church Engagement Manager for Tearfund. Kelly has attended Eastgate Christian Centre for over 24 years. She is married to Jared and they have 2 children, Jaden and Lincoln. In this podcast, Kelly talks to us about why she is passionate about child development and the importance of legacy in someone's life. She also tells us some incredible stories of the work Tearfund is doing in Indonesia with the Mums and Bubs program there. Well, it's great to have you with us today, Kelly. Tell us a bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure, thank you for having me. Well, I'm a wife and mum, and I work for Tearfund. I'm a church engagement manager there. So I have the great privilege of flitting around the North Island and talking to churches. I get to speak in all kinds of different environments, which is wonderful, sometimes quickly, sometimes long. I just really enjoy connecting. I'm a member of Eastgate Christian Centre, been there for 25 years.
Nice.
And really, really supportive of me and my family as well. And we've been in New Zealand most of our lives, but we recently had a quick foray into living in the USA. So we were living in Nashville, and it was really interesting to sort of walk through speaking and leading in a different church context as well. But we headed back to New Zealand thanks to COVID, really. And I was really blessed to be taken back by Tearfund, because I've actually been there, had my first day over 20 years ago at Tearfund.
Wow.
All up, been there 8 years in my lifetime. So I also, feel really privileged that they wanted to have me back.
Nice. Well, obviously you've done a great job for them, so they wouldn't have you back otherwise.
Oh, well, I'm very honoured. Thank you.
So I know that you are passionate about child development. Tell me a little bit about why this means so much to you.
Yeah, I was always passionate and convinced about good work for the Lord. And I remember when I was a teenager hearing in geography actually about how we had all this wealth in the Western world and then other countries had so little. And to me, it just felt unfair. And I remember that feeling of unfairness really deeply. And when I had my first day at Tearfund over 20 years ago, I felt like, oh, wow, I'm really living out that calling and enabled to reach people with what we had here, which was just resources essentially. Yeah. But of course, as you go through your working life and you learn and you grow, I was in my early 20s, I really became passionate about child development just because of the legacy that it creates. And it means a lot to me because in 2004 I decided I wanted to go and see some of the work in person. My husband and we jumped on a plane and we went to Uganda. And the reason we went to Uganda is because we'd seen and hosted the Watoto Children's Choir.
Oh, okay, yes.
Some of your listeners might remember them touring and enjoying kids performing. Well, we were the same. We were really inspired and wanted to visit them there.
Nice.
And so the whole trip was really eye-opening, as I'm sure people find when they go on a short-term mission trip or any kind of exposure trip through their church or youth group, that they would find that life-changing, and it certainly was. And really why I find it so valuable is because of that legacy. Like I said, we met with a few children, about 6 children, teenagers. They were 19. They were coming to the end of their time in the child sponsorship program.
Yeah.
And we sort of sat on a patio overlooking Lake Victoria. We were dusty, we were dirty. We'd been walking through these really tight streets for a long day. And they just honoured us with coming to speak with us. We bought them fish, and we had lemonade out of tall bottles, and we talked about their hopes and dreams for the future. One of those people was a young man called Apollo, and he just stood out. And I remember he said to me, I would like to be a pastor. We asked him that question, what do you want to do when you grow up?
No.
And he said, I really want to be a pastor. And I know that he'd had a lot of people come around him in the program to mentor and teach him about mission and to teach him about church life and ministry. So I know he was feeling really passionate too. So it was like we had these kind of passionate 19-year-olds who'd grown up in extremely difficult circumstances. In Apollo's case, he'd grown up with 16 siblings.
Wow.
And that 16 siblings, there were 4 sets of twins.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
So in his situation, he said, my family would pray every day that no one would get sick. We couldn't afford the medical fees.
Yeah.
And he also said, I used to fear being taken as well in my village because children would disappear. And he would pray. He was worried about being taken. That was his anxiety that he can remember, but he knows his parents' anxiety was anyone getting sick.
Right. Yeah.
And so being part of the child development program, this is incredible opportunity for him to realize potential. And he got to this point where he was 18 and he had dreams about being a pastor, because poverty, it can rob you of hope.
Yeah.
It can rob you of hope. And so this is a way to push hope back into the situation. And that's what we got from him. So I was super engaged in the conversation. I really felt heartbroken as well that the situation I was viewing was so difficult, that these young people had grown up in such difficult circumstances, but also kind of amazed at what God can do with so little from us.
Yeah.
So, these programs are funded by people from New Zealand, Australia, other countries like that, all around the world really. And it's just such a small thing that the staff and the incredible Christ-centered people that are involved in these kids' lives take and multiply. And so that's what it felt like at the time. My heart was broken, but it was also encouraged, and it was incredible. And I always remembered him. And then often, this was pre-cell phones. I think I had like a little Nokia brick with an orange sticker. I don't know.
Right.
I don't think I could take it to Uganda with me.
No, probably not.
So, there was no way to kind of stay in touch with people. But beginning of last year, Apollo messaged me on Facebook because I found him and added him as a friend. And so he kind of like picked up from that conversation 18, 19 years ago on the lake. This is a whole lifetime from the age he was when I saw him. And he told me that the child development program sponsorship changed his life dramatically, and that he was now a pastor of a church of hundreds there in Gaba in Uganda. Wow. And he'd written a book called Limitless, which is amazing when you consider how limited his situation was. And that he's on boards, he's a community leader, he fosters children and has his own children. And so for me, it's the legacy and the potential that is unlocked, really. And it's just always there in that child. Every child made in the image of God. Yes. Every child knitted together in their mother's womb. God knows them. He knows what they're capable of. We are all capable of what I'm capable of. And the development program helped him to really explore and really blow that up. And so now the tables are turned. He messages me all the time and says, Kelly, I'm praying for your work.
Oh, wow.
And I know that I'm in touch with the other young people, and they've all gone on to achieve those dreams. One wanted to be a politician, that's what he's doing. One wanted to be a social worker, that's what she's doing. One wanted to be a motivational speaker. Wow. And, the list goes on. So for me, why it means so much, I guess, is longevity. So even though I haven't been there the whole time, just seeing and speaking and speaking to and knowing a person and knowing their heart and having that impact me, and then seeing how they feel about that 20 years later.
Yes. Yeah, that's really incredible.
Yeah. So that's really why it means so much to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and so recently you visited Tearfund's infant survival program in Indonesia. It's called Mums and Bubs. Tell us a little bit about that program.
Sure. Yeah, I'm completely sold out for this program.
Yeah, okay.
And I have some beautiful stories. So you just stop me when I need to stop telling these stories, because
Sure.
So yeah, we launched Mums and Bubs in New Zealand about a year and a half ago, probably nearly coming up to 2 years now. And we launched that with the help of a couple of churches here in Auckland. That was Eastgate Christian Centre and Upper Room as well. And I really felt the community sort of behind this project. And what it is, it fills that gap between sponsorship and then pregnancy and birth in that first year of life.
Right.
So obviously around the world, pregnancy and birth can be a really dangerous situation for women that are living in extreme poverty. Lack of access to clean water, lack of access to medical care, lack of access to any kind of trained birth attendant or even a hospital in order to have a baby. And when I know that I can relate as a mum, how tricky that time is in your life. And how exhausted and tired and just wrung out I felt. And then one of my children had a health issue and it was devastating and hard. And I just couldn't, when I put that same situation into, these mums that are pregnant and having babies in extreme poverty, I can't even really comprehend it. So for me, it was a real honor to be involved with that launch of the Mums and Bubs program. So we decided that we wanted to go over and check it out and make sure we wanted to get some great stories to share and some meaningful moments with the people that have supported us. And I have never, it was like seeing mission grassroots in a way like I have never seen it before. And it was so much more than a neonatal and maternal health program. I knew it was, logically, but I think until you see the deeper connections that are happening with the group, it's hard to really comprehend it. So each Mums and Bubs group has about 16 mums involved, and they might be pregnant or in their first year of life. So we went over and visited a project in Bali, in Denpasar, which is very tight, very crowded. Anyone that's been to Bali will know it's busy, it's tight streets. Right. And where the program is run is out of the local church. So local church there. Yeah. So every program has a pastoral head and a project director, survival specialist who leads other child intervention specialists. Yeah. And so what they do is they invite these mums into the program. Mums are all living in extreme poverty. In this case, most of the mums in the program were migrants from islands. So they had come over, often not knowing anyone, not having any family. Some of them had incredibly tragic stories. Most of the mums we met lived in these sort of one room boarding houses. So they might be 6 families living on top and 6 families living below. They had a room for their family, and they shared like an outdoor kitchen / bathroom area, basically where a tank was and a mud floor, and that's where they would bathe baby and do everything else. Yes. So these are extreme levels of poverty that we're talking about here. And this church on the ground there in Denpasar is leading the drive to help these women and their families and their babies survive.
Wow. Yeah, amazing.
And it's incredible. And it's of course all the things you expect are happening. There's food, hampers, baby bars, clothes, products, all those sorts of things, mattresses supplied, clean water, all of the things you'd expect. But they also do home visits like Plunket as well. Okay. Yes. For the mums. Yeah. And that's kind of how they check out what else is going on in the community and invite those mums to join the program. But it was the connections. I can't tell you, I think every mum that we spoke to said, before I came to the program, I didn't know anybody. I'd migrated over.
Yeah.
I had no connections. I had no friends. I had no one to help me. And now there's all these mums in the same position as me, you know, having babies. Some of them have walked a little bit ahead of me. Some of them I'm a little bit ahead of, with where my baby is at in their development. But it's the connection that provides the hope, mums.
Yeah.
So one of the mums said to me that it doubled their family income being involved in the program, just in terms of what they were getting in food hampers and cleaning water, things they would have to pay for, zero running water at all.
So the practical support that they were getting just meant that much to them. Yes,
the practical support was meant an awful lot.
Yeah.
And they talked about it for sure, but every one of them talked to me about having friends.
Wow.
And having connection. It's like, I can imagine, you know, maybe you don't know anyone else that's had a baby in New Zealand and you go to a playgroup for the first time, or a family music group for the first time, and that feeling of, finally I've got people I can share this journey with.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So were those women, had they come from the islands for sort of better opportunities for their babies, or what drove them to move there in the first place?
Well, they come for different reasons. Most of them is hardship reasons. So they all have a different story, but I know that one of the mums was sent as a 12-year-old to earn money in Bali from her parents in Sumba. And so she worked as a domestic helper there and sent money back to her family. And that was because her mother passed away tragically, and then her oldest passed away as well. Times were really difficult on the island there, and her dad was working hard on the farm, and she was supplementing that income. So they moved for all different reasons. One mum I spoke to, she lost her husband tragically.
Wow.
After a short 5-month illness, and same thing, she was alone and had to earn an income. And she actually lost her first baby because he was taken by her in-laws when her husband passed away.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
So there's I won't go into all the stuff. It's really hard and triggering for some people as well, but needless to say, not many of them intended to be there. They were kind of, life took them there. And most of they were all married women in this particular project at this time, so they'd gotten remarried or married for the first time and had their baby in Denpasar, and so often just not really having any connections. But it's also
just hardship upon hardship, isn't it, for these women?
Yes, that's right. And I think too, I mean, the stories of the mums are really meaningful, but seeing how the staff operate for me, I felt so much trust. The project director there, his name was Dominguez, he led us around. We were in a van, and he led us around on his boda, his little scooter, and he knew where every single family lived.
Wow.
Without a GPS or anything like that.
Amazing.
He just led us there, and the rooms were too small to talk to mums, so we would sit out in the alley or just on the edge of the alley. And he would stand there. He would flip over a crate in the alley. He would check out the neighbours. He'd just sit there, and the neighbours would kind of come because they were interested in, you know, what are these two ladies doing? I worked with my colleague Helen Manson, and what are these two ladies doing in the alleyway? Why are they talking to our neighbour? And so he would just flip over a crate, find something to sit on, and he would talk to the neighbours. And you could see him flip into pastor mode.
Amazing.
And it was humble, quiet, connected. And I know that when we talked to him about why he did this work, he said, it's always been my dream to serve people in my community. And his community also borders on a rubbish dump where a lot of scavenger family live. So we also spoke to families that lived in the rubbish dump there as well.
Wow.
He has done this for a long time. He lived in that community. He loves the community, and he's serving his community through the local church and this program. So meeting the mums, seeing their lives transformed, seeing why, because the staff are just incredible, and they are multiplying everything that they're given into something bigger and better.
That's incredible.
Yeah, if you've got time, I've got one more little beautiful story about a mum who said to me, she said, before I came along to the program, I didn't know how to care for a baby, and I didn't think it mattered.
Wow.
I just didn't think it mattered.
Yeah.
And she said, I was invited along, and now I know how to keep her thriving.
Yes.
I just love her so much.
Wow.
But the biggest change for me is that now we've met Jesus, and my life has been transformed, and my whole family's life has been transformed.
That's incredible.
And that's because it's run out of a local church.
Yeah.
They have all the expertise of the staff working in the program, along with the power of God and how much
amazing. Oh, that sounds, that just, your heart, hey? Like, what resonates with me is what you say about that time in your life. I'm a mum as well, and just how huge that time in your life is, and then to add desperation and poverty on top of that, I just can't even imagine. And so that's really an incredible program, just to think the practical support they're giving, but connecting them into a community and how much community means for people, eh? And then just the local church factor and bringing them to Jesus, and that's it's just incredible. Yeah. So you've been there, you went to Indonesia, you sat in the hallway next to the wooden crate. So, what did you take away from it? Obviously it's been deeply impacting for you.
I think the biggest thing was how important it is to connect and to share what we have with each other, and how much God can do with that. So the mums that in the program that we interviewed knew that Kiwis were supporting them. So this project was started because Kiwis supported. They actually knew that. They knew that it was New Zealand that funded this program, and they and it was so interesting. It's so, everything they do is so ordinary. Bathing babies, feeding babies, making food, connecting with friends, but it's so extraordinary. And I thought about women and everything that we walk through, in our lives to become mothers, and all of that process, and how ordinary and extraordinary it all is.
Yes.
It's those ordinary things that you do that can create an extraordinary impact. And with God, if you have Jesus at the center of everything you do, then your small loaf and your small fish can be multiplied to feed the thousands. And I felt like both meeting Apollo 20 years ago, being in this Mums and Bubs program all those years later for the first time, and seeing that still hadn't changed.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, and that's God doesn't change.
Yes. Yeah,
He makes promises. He helps us. He helps us to be His hands and feet. Still need to be His hands and feet. We still need to the Dominguezes in the project. We still need the pastors in the project, the specialists, the birth attendants, the lactation consultants. We need the specialists. But God makes that something bigger all the time. And I suppose I was really proud to have been involved with Mums and Bubs, with child sponsorship, and my work with Tearfund, and my work with the church at Eastgate, and how it all connected. And I felt like there's so much more we can do, of course, but how valuable all these beautiful pearls were, and these beautiful individual people. And I suppose that's the biggest thing that I took away from my time connecting these dots.
It's really simple. Like the picture that you've painted it's just about providing practical support to people who desperately, desperately need it.
That's right.
And then on top of that, it's that relational element, hey, because people need to be in community, and especially at that time of your life when you have got a baby, a newborn, and just that connection with community is so important. And, I know from my experience, those coffee group days, wow, I don't know how I would have done without those days. I have to tell you this funny story. Yeah.
Of these, every time mums come together at the project, they have like devotions and worship, and then they eat together with incredible food.
Yeah.
They'll do some kind of education or group education moment, like it could be feeding, could be nutrition, could be sanitation, and they're given a hamper to take home.
Okay.
And so I've got this photo of these beautiful mums, two of these beautiful mums riding a boater together, baby strapped on the front, food hampers strapped on the back.
Nice.
And it just made me think about the extraordinary strength of women and, taking care of their babies. And it was just a beautiful picture of joy, but also so different to how we might experience going home with a newborn from a playgroup in New Zealand.
Yeah, for sure. No, those are incredible stories. So if people want to get involved, what can they do? What can we do from little old New Zealand?
Yes. Well, it's very simple. If you would like to support the Mums and Bubs program or sponsor a child, then you can go on to tearfund.org.nz and check out more information. But if you want to hear me talk and any more of my little stories that pop out of nowhere, then you can be actually having a women's event at Eastgate Christian Centre.
Nice.
So that is on the 10th of March, Friday at 7 o'clock. Doors open, 7:30 we start. I'll be doing my little moment, powerful short talks is what we're calling them. But joining me is Kathryn Burgess, and she's obviously incredible. A lot of our community know a lot about Petra, but she's going to share about coming home to herself and being comfortable in your own skin. And then we have Audrey Butoy, and she's a spoken word artist, young. She's just 20 years old.
Wow.
So she is a powerhouse for sure, and she has a year ahead of her, that young woman. So really honoured to be joining them. So you can come along to that event at Eastgate on the 10th of March. Check out our website for more information.
Yes, and that's called Empower Her, is that right?
That's right. So the event's Empower Her.
Yeah, nice. I've seen it advertised.
You have? Oh, good. Yes, it's our third one. We did 2 to launch the Mums and Bubs program, and then Eastgate, we're back on board for another one this year. Yeah, so we're really excited about it. There'll be lots of spot prizes.
Very cool. Yeah. Reason to go. No, really cool to see a local Baptist church supporting such an incredible program in Indonesia, and oh my goodness, the impact in those women's lives and even for their babies, is just, you're just never even going to know what that impact has been.
That's right. I'm incredibly proud of Eastgate, my church, and I wish I could tell you all of the churches out there in New Zealand who are involved in supporting this work. Yeah. And we should feel all those churches around New Zealand who are supporting, we're just so grateful to them, and so grateful to Eastgate for their next level support. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, thanks heaps for today, Kelly. It's been great chatting with you. Thanks, Kathryn. It was a real honour to be here with you. Thank you.